What's up? What's up? What's up? How we doing? I think we are live. How's everybody doing? DAS does start to shut down around 8:55, like 5 minutes before midnight Eastern time. So I'll probably have some dash issues here in a few minutes. So we'll try and get through this quick in like 10 minutes or less. Let's go through it quickly. MVST, I took this one off this morning. Didn't gap and go. Had a weak open. Held those 340s all in all, but I was looking for a gap and go into these 370s, 380s. So I ended up taking it off. Locked in a small gain, but didn't really amount to much. It was, I don't know, maybe 10 cents or so. And then Newton, traded this one as well. It was a main watch from the watch list yesterday. First time it was going red. I had started in some in pre-market, hit some right before market open. We got a hard crack red, just short. And then once we got this double bottom, higher low, covered and locked it all in. Pop back up into red to green, and then was trying to hit into here once it confirmed that it failed and SSR was on from this flush. So it was just a bit hard to fill. So I ended up letting it be, leaving it alone. I still think there's opportunity here for a second red day, as we've gone over the time frames in which these have faded, have kind of expanded. So it could be a second red day, but we will see. And then SIDA was red for me today, unfortunately. Decent red trade. Yeah, kind of got hit decent on it today. It was was basically putting it as a B grade setup going into the fours, and then we were gapping up and running into the sevens in pre-market. So I upgraded it to A size risk. I had shorted the parabolic here, 7 a.m., and it wasn't fading, so covered. And then we got this failed follow through setup that ended up swiping, so I covered. This was maybe like a quarter loss, just pre-market size. But then off the open, I was getting pretty aggressive. Was shorting and then protected, and we got a high a day clear out and stuff. So I shorted and then all lower highs, which confirmed opening range lows, and then swiped. And this swipe is typically a cover for me, but then pops into the highs, got stuffed again. So I'm like, maybe they were doing something like FAAS, where they're just chopping people up. So I respected the stop, whether it was a loss I wanted to take or not, and then was looking at it throughout the day just from my phone, and it was going higher nicely. Was gapping up pretty well in after hours, and then a friend had text saying that they put out an S1. I was like, they better not dump this thing. And then Nate texts me and he goes, and they did. So those little buggers. I made a post on Twitter with no context, just saying this is so effing stupid. And I was referring to SIDA gapping down from 950 down to 6. Like, if this kind of range happens intraday on a day like this, or holds up into tomorrow, that's an A plus trade. And it just kind of ruins the reward on something like this. Because the close is... It closed right around $8. So far it's at 7. So it's down $1 on $8 is like 16% gap down. 8%? 9, 10. $1 on 10. It's a little bit less than 16, maybe 13. But anyways, it's going to be gapping down quite a bit. SSR will probably be on. I going into today, it was on Reg Show on Centerpoint. So if you wanted to reshort and re-enter, you had to reborrow the shares. So I didn't think it would be super crowded on the short side. It wasn't super easy to borrow. It was like at 7 a.m. it was 2 cents a share. And then Reg Show, so if you're paying that over and over like recycling shares, I didn't think shorts would want to be doing that. And then at Cobra, it was restricted. So there's an entire brokerage that couldn't even short it. So I didn't think this was going to have much of a chance in squeezing at all, which kind of added to my conviction given the short inventory. And it didn't work. So when it goes higher, it's just more conviction that I'm going to have to put the same risk on or more tomorrow because it's a better setup. But now with it gapping down, it's going to be tough. So I hope they kind of trap it into 7 a.m., maybe get a rip into 8, 9 a.m., and then be able to get a good trade on that one again. So those are the trades from today. In about a minute and a half or 2 minutes, it's going to delete these arrows just because DAS shuts down and restarts for the next day. So, but we went through those. Those are the 3 trades from today. BDSX gapping up here in after hours, little breakout chart on the daily through 35 cents, and is starting to speed up in after hours. I don't really know why it's up. It was some guy transferring shares. It wasn't a new stake in the company by any means. So the higher this one gaps, the more I like it for a gap short tomorrow. ASST, excuse me. I believe this one is, what was it? It had like merger news when it had started running, but I believe it's still in the blockchain basket or such, isn't it? I think it's Bitcoin related. And it's still holding up. And now today we had SEP doing the same thing where it's starting to curl. I was waiting for that 27s to break and fail to fall through, and it just didn't. And now it's starting to curl and perk off of it through that 39 little lower high breakout. So if it pushes up and consolidates near highs, could get a secondary leg. ASST, not quite as extended. Weak opens getting absorbed. So this one is also looking like it might want to break out. So Bitcoin names definitely strong. NXTT still waiting for that failed fall through, 180s, 190s. What else did I have? Yeah, Newton, still keeping that one on watch. SIDA, I want to see where this one's gapping by open tomorrow. I still think it's going to be a decent opportunity. For EMA is like 430. What's RSI sitting at? It's probably still pretty high because it's not going to factor in the after hours move. Let's do this. There we go. Yeah, 4 EMA is pinned at 90. So it's, or not the RSI is pinned at 90, so it's super high. And 819 looks like it was the close, which is right in line with the 200-day moving average. Might be able to put it on here. I am going to have a hell of a time trying to get this thing to work now with the DAS issues. Moving average, put on a 50 simple, and we don't want to scale it. Give me a moment here, I'll get this all set up. There we go. So this pink line right here is the 200-day moving average, and we tapped right up into it, which was right around where it closed today. So that 8 level is probably a decent look. Would be probably using prior day's highs, was 844. I think it was. Yeah, 844 was the high today. So probably use like prior day's highs as a risk if we're gapping anywhere in the 7s tomorrow. Risk like a buck 50. I still think you get $2 or $3 a fade out of it. Should close that gap back down to like 4. So I will definitely still have that one on watch for tomorrow. I had laid out that plan. Investors Underground had done a free live broadcast this morning. They usually do it once a week on Tuesdays. And the main guys, just some of the guys were busy or out of town or something, so I hopped on there with the guys and went over my plans. And I was, if you rewatch it, I was fairly convicted in this SIDA idea, and it's set up almost perfectly. I was looking for higher the better, clear outs and stuff moves versus pre-market resistance, and then looking for opening range lows as confirmation. And it did everything I wanted to see. We had a couple stuff moves, a couple higher the betters that couldn't get it going any higher, and it just it didn't work. So I think just the higher it goes, the better the opportunity is. QBTS continues to go higher. These quantum names have just been a pain in my butt. I was buying it on this day, and then it looked terrible because it retraced its entire move and went red. So why would I continue to hold it? And then every day has been higher since. Just brutal. I bought the thing at like $10. So stupid. Driving me nuts, some of these names. Let's see what the dilution's looking like on BDSX. Four months of cash. Bunch of warrants at $1. Excuse me. Bunch of Series A convertibles. It's a huge ATM. Like 50 million. Yeah. So I think this BDSX probably gets hit with dilution tomorrow. So I will definitely be looking for this one to gap as high as possible. We've had a couple of names where they've done that after hours move, and they haven't, there's been like nobody home on the actual gap day. So this could have been the move, but hopefully it holds up enough for tomorrow. So, yeah. So main watches into tomorrow are probably still SIDA. It's probably number one, and then BDSX. Two main watches, I think. Yeah, that's all I got. It'll be midnight for East Coasters, so we got it done quick. I just wanted to show those executions and just be transparent that I took a loss. It was somebody's birthday in the family, so right after work I went over and had a birthday dinner, so I was running a bit late this evening, but I didn't want to skip it because I took a loss on a fairly highly convicted play. So I just wanted to be transparent about it and make sure I captured it on the video. But yeah, that's all I got for watches into tomorrow, and try not to do too much else. These cheapies have been working pretty well. I think there was a cheapie this morning. BLMZ, I think it was. Balloons. Yep, round tripped. So you get that clear out. Little failed follow through setup right here that likely could have stopped me through highs. And then you've got prior support, prior resistance becomes support, and then fails to follow through, and then all these pops for an unwind. So they do just enough, right? Like you get that pre-market high clear out, which was right through here, which is usually a decent idea. And then you get lower highs, failed follow through right there. Usually a decent entry. But just did one more shove to stop out anybody who was still in there. But by the end of the day, still worked pretty well. Looking left on the daily, you can see right here. Came right into looking left. You bugger. Right there. Comes right into looking left levels. So these cheapies continue to fade. We just had BLMZ. We had FAAS right here. Once it kind of chops around, ends up fading. This one here by 10:30. Blooms started to fail right around 10:30. You had AFMD right here that started to fail around 10 o'clock. So they haven't been failing right off the open. There's been getting some strength. But by the end of the day, these cheapies have been getting smoked. So hopefully, fingers crossed, with the amount of dilution on BDSX. Yeah, so these are all pre-market movers. There was one this morning. I can't remember the ticker. There was one this morning that was an after-hours runner yesterday, and then wasn't really much strength to have today. But so ideally BDSX higher, and then maybe by 10:30 starts to fail to follow through, and then should close near lows. But this thing's just got so much dilution. I don't see how it could sustain a move. Any levels on BDSX to watch? They've got dilution up in like the low ones, like 105, 106, 115, in terms of like fundamental warrant and dilution levels, which kind of aligns like over here. So like that $1 would be like biggest potential I think it could get to. Other than that, all we've got is after hours levels over here. And typically with these gappers, like if you look at like AFMD, right here, like what level would you be playing off of to catch this fade? You kind of have to wait for a blowout, wait for a high day to be set, and then like the entry is here to me in like those low 40s and risk high a day or something like that. Same thing. What was the one today? BLMZ was it? Yeah. So like this one did have a looking left level on the daily, but assuming it didn't, assuming you didn't have that level on the daily, you don't know where high a day is. Oops, I just opened a window on my screen. You don't know where high a day is, so maybe you short here and then get stopped through highs, lose like 4 cents or so, and then this level fails, so now you start leaning into this lower high, and then now maybe you're adding through here with risk on like a 33, 34 reclaim, so now you're risking 3 cents but on double the size because now you've been able to add to the winner as it's working. So I think it's more of waiting for levels. Once they react and fail, then you're kind of using intraday levels. It's not so much a daily setup, it's just a gapper. So you're having to wait for levels to push out and fail, and then pick up the pieces later. Yeah, quantum names are so choppy. I've tried them so many times, and I've made money a couple times, but they've got so many lives, and then they're just so like for how hard they are to short for a pullback, they're just as hard to join for a long. Like they're just so choppy up and down, so much range. BDSX, yeah, that insider buying filing, he didn't buy anymore. It wasn't a new stake. He just transferred shares. So it's not like bullish news. He had already owned shares before. Can I talk about TNMG. A little bit of volume coming in on the daily. Starts running right out the open. Pull back, holds up into close. So far gapping down into tomorrow. Little breakout here through that 105 level. See where that lines up intraday here. Yeah, so basically what I see here is you got a big volume profile level here in that 1 to 105 range. You've got this initial run that topped out in that level, in that range. It's not a breakout I would buy because it was just straight up off the open from 60 cents right through the breakout, went up 100%. So in that case, I'm waiting for it to push, pull, consolidate, and choose its next direction, but it never reclaimed. It continued to fail off that prior resistance. And even once it pulled back and consolidated and tried to build back, it had trouble getting back over those 105s. So it has a history of failed spikes, doesn't have a history of sustained momentum. So until it were to push and consolidate and re-break in the afternoon and prove that it wants to hold its gains, it just pops and then fades, pops and then probably fades. So you could set price alerts, in my eyes, probably up towards like this 110. And if it starts to build back over 110, maybe you get a re-break of that 130s. But in terms of a trade immediately for tomorrow, I don't see one. But that would be how I would look at it. Yeah, if it ripped early pre-market, that would be nice. Wouldn't hate it. BDSX. Higher the better. Ideally, I like these gapping like 70% minimum. So hopefully it gaps more. We will see. I think in an ideal world it gaps and it's up like 70% by open. You get a bunch of shorts coming in there. Maybe they realize that the PR is trash and then maybe they're looking at the dilution and seeing the same stuff I am. And if you can pop those early shorts, then there's edge in reacting to that if you're not involved. If you're not emotionally attached and can react to that while shorts are covering, would be like the ideal scenario to be. If it just fails off the open, it'll be a bit tough for me to chase. But yeah. So watches for tomorrow, probably SIDA and BDSX. Probably my main two, and I will try and stick to those as best I can, see what's gapping. Was the stream any smoother today? On the stream yesterday, I had made a couple adjustments to the settings, and on my end it says like a stream quality on YouTube, and it'll be like poor, average, good, great, excellent, whatever, and it's been saying excellent the whole time, where on the past ones for months it said poor, and I thought it was just my Wi-Fi, but since I got my Wi-Fi fixed, it was still saying it, and now it says the stream is excellent. So hopefully it's smoother and clearer. Jeff, it's good. Okay, cool. FlashNet never gets notifications. Weird. I figured it just does it. Like, I don't think I don't think that's a setting on my end. I think the only thing I could do is like, like channel settings. Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing I could do is like set a what do you call it? Like a where they do like that countdown where people like schedule a live. It's called something, I forget. But I think that's the only other way I could do it, but I don't really know how to set that up. Yeah, like if the I tried to unsubscribe and resubscribe and no change. Weird. Yeah, because like if the bell is clicked, it should send notifications. I guess I'm just shadow banned. I don't know. I don't know. They don't want me to grow, man. Yeah, I don't know. I can check out the settings once I hop off of here, but I don't think it's anything on my end. Just weird. You see, like you've heard that with some like social media guys where they're like their posts don't get likes for like a certain amount of times. It's like the algorithm just stops pushing your stuff. Maybe they want me to pay for advertising or something. Cool, I appreciate it. Flashnet said you would get a lot more viewers if it pushed out. Your content is top notch. Very kind. Very kind. Thank you. I do my best. Alrighty, guys. Well, I will wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning on in. And Jeff appreciates everything, which is great. So thank you guys. And those of you in IU, I will see you there in the morning. The rest of you I'll see you on the next watch list. Take it easy, guys. Peace.